Now, switching gears from some of the marquee names to somebody who is just starting to get his name out. And this is, to me, one of the most interesting players in baseball, which is Jonathan Aranda, the Mexican from Tampa Bay Rays. And like, you just look at the StatCast profile, man. I mean, so much red in the hitting profile. Then you look at his bat speed, very much on the low end. His speed, his base running value, big blue 1%. So, it's just a funny profile as far as a guy that is your classic kind of underdog. But then you look at the hitting and the damage he is doing to the baseball, and that doesn't look like an underdog. So what do you see with this progression?
Oh, I love stories like this. It's a 8-year minor league journey, original Tampa Bay Ray signing out of Tijuana, Mexico. I think this is a great segue into Mexican baseball overall, but I'm glad Jonathan Aranda is having his moment, right? Like, if you can hit, you're going to get to the big. If you can actually hit, you're going to find a way to get to the big leagues, because no team is just stacked with guys who can legitimately hit. And at this rate right now, he's having his moment and he's capitalizing on it. But it goes back to the argument about the Rays and why they're good, because they can get performances like this from under-heralded guys on these rosters. And it stands out to me as a guy who's always hit in some capacity, always gotten on base, just kind of continuing to progressively get better and move the ball forward, because at every point he's going to have to have proven that he could hit, because it's not a very physical player. It's not a super tooled out player, as you're mentioning. In order to be standing there with this opportunity, you have to have just proved at every point that you could hit. And there's a good recent trend of Mexican hitters from Tijuana, especially with Alejandro Kirk, like good hitters that are coming out of that area, and he's one of them. I love this, especially showing the diversity of where everybody can come from. All the different, we talk in Latin American baseball, we talk a lot about the Dominican, we talk a lot about Venezuela, we talk a lot about Cuba. Mexico doesn't get mentioned as much for position players. It's usually a pitcher dominant scouting, but in this case, it's a really solid contributor from Mexico.
Let's talk about Mexican baseball more broadly. You're talking about a team that finished third in the World Baseball Classic.
Yep.
The best of the Hispanic, Latino countries. They were the top.
Yep.
Right, and they're right behind Japan and the United States. You read, there was a great story on MLB.com in Spanish about how that showing has really accelerated the pace of baseball as far as just being a spectator sport in Mexico. Robinson Cano was quoted, who I think he's been in some pretty big stadiums. He's been around a lot of baseball in different countries, different places, and he compared it to Caribbean Series for a whole season. You're talking about the fan base there. So the Diablos Rojos and the Red Devils in Mexico City. We're talking about almost 12,000 people a game on average. And there's other teams like that, the Tijuana Toros, the Sultanes de Monterrey. So this is a country which is enormous. I mean, this is just it's a big country, just size-wise, population-wise. So if this country truly catches baseball fever in a way that overtakes soccer, maybe they get their own Ellie De La Cruz or Bobby Witt. I mean, what is the potential for this market, both from a scouting standpoint and from a baseball business standpoint?
I think massive is the potential, but I also want to give due credit to the fact that those leagues are legit. They actually have two leagues in Mexico. One is the one that runs concurrent with the season right now, which is the main league that you think about. They also have a really high quality winter league as well. So what stands out to me from Mexico is it makes sense that they would win in team settings. Maybe pound for pound talent or tools at individual positions don't jump out, but when you play team baseball, it makes sense that they would be in the higher performers, because the Mexican leagues actually have, like the Diablos Rojos have a whole development system down to, you could be a Diablos Rojos at 11, 12 years old, and you'll play in the 11, 12 group. And then they'll have another 14, 15 group, or 12, 13. They have a whole player development system within each of those Mexican league teams. And so you're playing a lot of organized, high-level, polished baseball. And I think you see that show through in some of the World Baseball Classic stuff. But I've always loved the Mexican League in terms of scouting. They're just, the Mexican player on average is not as physical as some of their other Latin American counterparts. And so the scouting just tends to be different. And to this point has been very pitcher kind of dominant. But to the other point of potential in the market, right, of what this could be, I think those that were around for the Fernando Valenzuela era of Mexican baseball realize, like, when you plug into the whole country of Mexico and you have a star like that, you see just how big Mexico can be. Especially, I think you feel it most on the West Coast, but a rabid baseball market. I think Robert on Un Podcast de las Mayores, Mexico is a sizable chunk of his audience in a Spanish language show. So I love Mexico as a country and as a market for baseball. I think it's awesome.
What's it like scouting in Tijuana?
Tijuana, for me, is a little different than scouting the rest of Mexico because you can stay in San Diego. You would stay in San Diego and you could just walk over the bridge into Tijuana. I would get picked up there and then walk back in over the main entry point. So I think Tijuana is a little bit different, but I loved, for example, Monterrey is beautiful. Monterrey is like big baseball city. Mexico City is incredible too. If you go to Diablos Rojos Stadium, it's a whole vibe. There's like an F1 track around the baseball stadium. The stadium's very modern and has it's better than where the Rays are playing right now, just to give an example. So it's really high level facility as well. People forget how well funded the Mexican Baseball League is from an ownership standpoint. It's very well funded. All the teams are. So, and Mexico City is a whole different vibe than Monterrey, and Monterrey is a whole different vibe than Monclova and Oaxaca. And it's true regional baseball, which I like. I think Mexican baseball is really cool.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see that build to the WBC.
Yep.
And, Aranda's going to be obviously a huge part of that.